$1,000 a month to retire in Japan. It sounds like a rounding error compared to the cost of retiring almost anywhere in North America, Western Europe, or Australia, which is exactly why the claim deserves real scrutiny instead of a shrug. Japan's own government surveys, insurance system, and rural cost data all exist and are public. Run the actual numbers, specifically for rural Kyushu, and the honest answer is more interesting than a simple yes or no. The $1,000 figure is real for a specific kind of retiree, in a specific kind of house, who has already solved a completely separate problem that has nothing to do with money at all. Start with the baseline. Japan's 2024 government household survey found that a retired couple aged 65 and older spends, on average, about 286,000 yen a month, close to $1,900 for two people. Split that evenly, and one retiree accounts for roughly $950 of it, already close to the $1,000 mark, and that average includes Tokyo and every expensive city in between. Rural Kyushu changes the equation further. Living costs across the region run roughly 20 to 30% below Tokyo, with little real loss in quality of life, so the same national baseline stretches noticeably further once you leave the major cities behind. None of this is a marketing number. It is what Japan's own statistics already imply before anyone mentions Kyushu specifically. The single biggest lever in that budget is housing, and it is also the part most retirement cost guides quietly assume rather than state. A retiree who has already bought a rural Kyushu Akiya outright, no mortgage, no rent, carries none of the largest monthly line item most cost of living estimates include by default. What is left is property tax, utilities, and upkeep, real costs, but a fraction of a mortgage or a city rent payment. Kagoshima and Miyazaki, in southern Kyushu, add a further advantage most people do not think about: mild winters with little or no snow, which meaningfully lowers heating costs compared to a retiree living through a proper Tohoku or Hokkaido winter. That owned outright assumption is doing real work in this budget, and it deserves one honest caveat. The Akiya itself is rarely free to make livable. A genuine seismic and structural renovation on an older rural house commonly runs tens of thousands of dollars before move-in. A real upfront cost the monthly figure does not include and should never be confused with. Once that work is actually done, though, the monthly math changes completely, and food is where rural Kyushu pays off again. The region's farms, fishing ports, and produce markets keep grocery costs well below what the same diet costs in central Tokyo, especially for anyone willing to shop seasonally and locally rather than at a convenience store. Housing solved this way, the remaining monthly budget is mostly food, utilities, transport, and healthcare, which is precisely the category where the $1,000 figure either survives or falls apart. Healthcare is the category retirees worry about most, and Japan's system is genuinely retiree-friendly, though not free. National health insurance, open to mid- and long-term visa holders, covers 70% of most medical costs, leaving a 30% copayment at the point of care, commonly 1,000 to 3,000 yen for an ordinary clinic visit. The monthly premium itself typically runs 2,000 to 15,000 yen for someone without a Japan income history, a modest, predictable line item rather than a Western-style insurance bill. English-capable clinics are also becoming more common across Kyushu's cities, narrowing one of the more practical worries for a foreign retiree. Add a car, genuinely useful in rural Kyushu, and budget 30,000 to 50,000 yen a month for loan payments, insurance, fuel, and Japan's mandatory vehicle inspection every 2 years. That single line item alone can consume a third of a $1,000 budget if a retiree is not deliberate about it. Here is the part the budget math cannot touch. Japan has no dedicated retirement visa, unlike countries such as Thailand, Portugal, or Panama that built one specifically to attract retirees. A foreign retiree's realistic paths into long-term residency run through family or spousal ties, permanent residency earned after years of qualifying visa status, or a strictly time-limited long-stay visa that itself demands substantial savings and full health insurance coverage as a condition of entry, not a workaround for one. Owning a paid-off Kyushu house, as established elsewhere on this channel, does not grant any of that. It is entirely possible to have the $1,000 a month lifestyle completely solved on paper while still having no legal path to actually live in the house year-round. That is not a footnote. For most foreign retirees, it is the harder of the two problems, and it is worth solving before the house, not after. So, can you retire in rural Kyushu for under $1,000 a month? For a specific retiree, yes, genuinely. Someone who already owns a rural Kyushu home outright, keeps healthcare and transport costs deliberate rather than assumed, and benefits from a region already running 20 to 30% below Tokyo's cost of living. Japan's own averages support that number. They do not contradict it. But the $1,000 figure was never the hard part. The harder part is the piece no cost of living breakdown can price, proving you have a legal right to be there long enough to spend that $1,000 a month in the first place. Get the residency question answered first, on its own terms, and the budget genuinely works. Assume the cheap house solves both problems at once, and you have only solved the easier one. The $1,000 number is not a marketing hook. It is what is left over after the mortgage disappears, the winter heating bill shrinks, and the grocery bill drops, for someone who did the harder paperwork long before they ever looked at a listing. If this made Japan's empty house market a little clearer, subscribe to Akiya Handbook, the channel that explains how Japan's cheap houses actually work, honestly, and without selling you anything. There is also a free guide waiting in the description, the Akiya Buyer's Starter Guide, How to Buy a Cheap House in Japan Without Getting Burned. 11 chapters on the truth about so-called free houses, the hidden costs, and who should not buy. No hype, and completely free. The link is below. Thanks for watching.